Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Identifying a research problem. Lecture number 6. Now let us get into how do we actually find a research problem? How do we identify? And the first step to identifying a research problem is that when defining the problem, that is stating the problem specifically, it is important to differentiate fact from opinion and discover underlying causes, so the focus is on the problem and not just its symptoms. Which means that we are trying to focus on finding or identifying a research problem. Now, research problems are normally given by the guide. But what if the guide leaves it to you? Then you have to look for a research problem. And that is why this lecture is there. How do you define? There is a figure on the right hand side which shows that define the problem, diagnose the root cause, sustain the results, and identify the how to identify and implement the source. And this figure has been sourced from SlideShare, because I thought it was a very appropriate way of explaining how to identify a research problem. 4 things have to be borne in mind before we start identifying a research problem. That is, these 4 things are: in order to define a problem, you have done the literature survey, you have seen the gaps, there is some idea in your mind that this is how you would like to proceed. And when you start looking at it, you start understanding that yes, now I can actually diagnose this and see how I can make an advancement over the existing knowledge. So you try to plan a research plan based on that. And what results you get is something that is different from the other researchers' results, because you have modified the method or you have changed the parameters and so on. Once that happens, then to identify the gap and to identify and implement a solution. It could be that this is what you have inferred from your research problem or you wish to infer. So these are 4 different points that have to be borne in mind before identifying a research problem. Identifying a research problem involves finding a question or issue that is worth investigating and has the potential to contribute new knowledge or address a gap in existing understanding. This process often starts with exploring your area of interest, reviewing literature, identifying potential problems, and considering their feasibility and significance. So this process is very elaborate. First, choose the area of your interest. Then do a thorough literature survey. From that, you will get the research gaps. Once you have seen the research gaps, you will be able to make a concrete plan which is feasible and which is significant. So, start with your interest, explore related literature, begin by identifying your specific interest and area of expertise. Now, if you are a chemist, you can't be looking for a problem in physics, at least not in the beginning. Once you have got a PhD degree, then interdisciplinary research is very, very possible, and lot of people do it. And in today's time, lot of collaboration work is happening. So, when such things are happening, it is possible, but not as a beginner. When you are stepping into research, you have to stick to your area of interest only and at least understand that area carefully. Conduct a thorough literature review to understand the current state of knowledge in your field. Look for gaps in the literature, area of debate, and unresolved questions. Second point is identify potential problems and refine your focus. Look for problems or issues that are relevant, significant, and potentially solvable. Now, what does this mean? You can't choose a problem for which you have no solution. It has to be relevant, it has to be significant. And I gave an example. Suppose if somebody does natural dyeing at room temperature and somebody else does it at boiling temperature. Obviously, the boiling temperature researcher is using more resources, more electricity to boil, more heat, more time. Whereas if a room temperature thing is happening, the resources are minimized and the cost also is reduced. So there is an advancement and there is an advantage, and therefore it is beneficial. Consider the practical implications of your research and its potential impact on your field. Consider the feasibility and resources available. Ensure that your research problem is feasible given your time, resources, and access to data. Consult your expert in your field and seek feedback on your research problem. So once you have made a research problem, you can also discuss it with your guide or your seniors in the laboratory to get a second opinion, because you are a beginner. You may tend to make some mistake, but if you discuss it with your peers, you definitely will get good guidance and good direction. Consider the ethical implication of your research. Fourth point is develop a research question or hypothesis. Formulate a clear, concise research question or hypothesis that directly addresses your research problem. This should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, which is abbreviated as SMART. So you have to be a smart researcher. Now, smart doesn't become the physical smartness of that person, but it is that you have to have a research problem which is very specific, which can be measured, which can be achieved, which is relevant in today's time, and is also time bound. That is what signifies the SMART word. Justify your research problem. Provide a rationale for why your research problem is important and worth investigating. Explain the potential benefits of your research, both theoretically and practically. Now, when we look at this figure, we understand that research problems should have a definition, a characteristic, a component, steps to formulate, statement, and example. Only then, this has also been sourced from slide share, and these components are an integral part of the system when you sit to design a research problem. It has to have a definition. It has to have its characteristic, specific, contribution that you are wanting to make to the scientific world. It should have its components. What are the parameters that you are looking? What is the material that you are looking? If you are a synthetic organic chemist, what are the kind of reactions that you are going to undertake, and so on? And then what are the steps that you need to plan out to formulate? Then there has to be a statement that this is what you designed, that you want to make an improvement in terms of its yield. Has that been achieved? And in your example, that should exemplify. So that is how you make a research problem. Now, how would you identify a research problem? Because this is a very, very basic, and every researcher goes through this for the first time, and he or she is at a loss because he or she is in the beginning is not experienced enough to look for a research problem. As you go along, as you keep doing research, you gain enough confidence to design your own research problem based on literature review, and you can see what new you can contribute to the existing knowledge of science. To identify a research problem, start with a broad area of interest, then narrow it down through literature review, brainstorming, and expert consultation. Look for gaps in existing knowledge, contradictions in theory, or practical issues in need of solutions. Consider feasibility, significance, and your own research interests and expertise. Broad area of interest. To begin with, you can begin with the general area, which can actually peek into your interest and align with your expertise. Suppose if you are an organic chemist, you have done MSc in organic chemistry, you can definitely find some topic in the area of that expertise, because now you know many reactions, you know many mechanisms, and therefore you can plan something in that domain. Literature review. Thorough literature review is required for research. Theories, debates related to your area of interest to identify potential research problems. Look for gaps in knowledge, areas where research is lacking or incomplete, contradictory findings, differing perspectives, and conflicting results that need further investigation. Unsolved questions, issues that have not been fully addressed or explained, or understudied phenomena, areas that haven't received enough attention. So there is a vast possibility. One can find a problem from all these or one of these. Brainstorming and expert consultation. You can even engage in brainstorming sessions with your peers or mentors, as what I mentioned, to generate ideas and refine your research problem. Consult with experts in the field to gain insights and perspectives. Consider practical implication. Think about how your research can contribute to real world solutions or address practical issues in your field. Narrowing the focus. Once you have identified a potential research problem, narrow it down. Define the scope. Determine the boundaries of your research. Specify variables. Identify the keywords or concepts you will be examining. Considering limitations, acknowledge any constraints or limitation of your study. So, when you narrow down the topic, then you can actually visualize how you want to do it. What will be the key factors that you will be actually focusing on that research problem? That is where the planning begins. And then you have to also be prepared. Are there any limitations? Acknowledge those constraints and limitations and whether or not you can overcome them. So, considering that concept and thoroughly examining that through literature survey will help you to do this. Sixth is to formulate a clear problem statement. Express your research problem in a concise, well-defined statement, either as a question or declarative statement. So you want to say, I want to see the effect of this chemical auxiliary on natural dyeing of silk. So you have defined your problem very clearly. First is you are going to use no other dye than natural dye. Second is you are using one particular chemical auxiliary. And third is that you will be using only silk fabric. So your problem is clear-cut defined. Evaluate the problem. Assess the feasibility, significance, and originality of your research problem before proceeding. And the key considerations for a good research problem is clarity, specificity, feasibility, significance, and originality. So, when there is clarity, the problem should be clearly defined as what I just gave an example and understood by you and others. Specificity, it should be focused and not overly broad. Then, feasibility, the problem should be something that can be realistically done within your available resources. Significance, it should have the potential to contribute to knowledge of or address a meaningful issue. And it should be new and offer a fresh perspective on existing issues. So these are certain points which have to be borne in mind while identifying a research problem. Define your goal and understand the current situation. Clarify objectives. What are you trying to achieve? What is the desired outcome? What is that you are planning that it will give an outcome? It may or may not give. That's a different issue. But there has to be a focus which is at least giving you a direction. Analyze the current state. What are the current processes, resources, and factors involved? Assess the needs. What are the requirements and expectations of stakeholders? Ask questions and analyze data. Use open-ended questions. Encourage in-depth discussion and uncover hidden issues. Explore root causes. Investigate why the problem exists and what factors contribute to it. Now, I'll give you a small example here. While I was doing my research, I was given a problem where I had to use a particular acetylenic compound and functionalize it. For 30 continuous days, I kept using the starting material with different conditions changing with same energy. Every morning I would come and put the reaction, but the reaction would not go. The first day it did not go, the second day it did not go, the third day I heated, the fourth day I put pressure, I did it under nitrogen condition, and all that was possible I tried to do. Till 30th day, the reaction wouldn't budge. It wouldn't form anything, the starting material would keep sitting there. Then, at that time, so much of literature was not available. So I had to go back to the library, look up the chemical abstracts which are written in font size 8. So you can imagine those micro words I had to carefully go through very meticulously, and I found that that particular acetylenic compound is non-reactive. Now, having found that, at least now I had a clear-cut idea that this cannot be my starting material. I have to look for another acetylenic compound which is reactive. So these are kind of things that one learns from one's experience. But of course, that time I had not done a good literature survey. If I had done the chemical abstracting before putting the reaction, I would have been saved of that 1 month's labor which went as a waste. But nevertheless, it gave an experience that these compounds don't react. Prioritize and define the problem. Prioritize problems, focus on the most critical issues that have the greatest impact. And create problem statement. Structure the problem. Communicate the problem. So first you define a problem. Then you create the problem statement with its scope, impact, and desired outcome. Then you structure the problem, break down complex problems into smaller, more manageable components, and then you have to communicate the problem to ensure that all stakeholders understand the issue and its implication. Validate the problem. Fourth point, test your assumptions, verify the problem's existence and severity through data analysis and stakeholder feedback. Seek confirmation, confirm the problem with those affected by it, ensure urgency and importance, confirm that problem is a real issue that requires a solution. How to define a research problem? To define a research problem, identify a specific issue, gap in knowledge, or area of concern that needs further investigation. It should be clear, concise, and relevant to your field of study, guiding your research objectives, methods, and analysis. Identify a broad area of interest. Start with a general topic that sparks your interest. Narrow down the scope. Focus on specific aspects of the topic that you may realistically investigate. Conduct literature review. Explore existing research, theories, and debates to identify gaps in knowledge or conflicting findings. Formulate the research problem. State the problem in a clear, concise, and specific way. Justify the problem. Explain why this problem is important and why your research will contribute to the field. Because if you are not convinced and do not have that conviction that whatever I am doing, it is going to contribute some new knowledge to the scientific knowledge, it is of no consequence. Consider feasibility and ethics. Ensure your research problem is within your scope and resources and that it adheres to the ethical guidelines. Now let us look at what would be the characteristic of a well-defined research problem. Because here in this lecture, we are only focusing primarily on how to identify a research problem and which identified research problem will you say that it is a well-defined research problem. So what should be the characteristic of a well-defined research problem? Specific, clearly defines the issue being addressed, feasible, within the scope of your resource and framework, relevant, contributes to existing knowledge or addresses in a practical issue, original, provides a new perspective or addresses a gap in the literature. Measurable, the problem can be objectively evaluated through data collection and analysis. So what it means is that we have to know what exactly is a well-defined problem. It has to be very, very specific. It should be doable, which means feasible. It should be relevant in today's time. If I am doing some alchemistry, it is not relevant in today's time. Things have advanced so much. It has to be original, no duplication, and it should be measurable. I should have a way to either do a qualitative or a quantitative research through that defined problem. For example, such a case can be considered. A researcher might identify a gap in knowledge regarding the effectiveness of different mentorship programs on student success. Their research problem could be, how do different mentorship programs structure peer mentorship, one-to-one mentorship, online mentorship impact students' academic outcomes and engagement in a university setting? In essence, a well-defined research problem is the foundation of any successful research project. It guides the entire process for formulating research questions and hypotheses, to choosing appropriate methods and analyzing the results. For this, one has to have very clear-cut research objectives. Research objectives outline what a study aims to achieve, serving as a roadmap for the research process and ensuring the research stays focused. They provide a clear purpose for the study, guide the research methodology, and offer measurable outcomes for evaluating the success of the research. Research objectives should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, which means SMART. So if we have these objectives in mind in the category of SMART, then definitely we are in the right process. So this is a very nice slide which I found, that the types of research objectives for different people could be different. For me, it can be qualitative or quantitative. For you all, it can be cross-sectional, descriptive, exploratory, explanatory, comparative, predictive, normative, and so on. So, this slide has been sourced from IdeaScale because I felt it is a very nice way of showing how many different types of research objectives are possible to be existing. Which one is relevant for your research purpose, you have to figure it out. Now, importance of research objectives. it defines the scope. The research objectives clearly define the boundaries of research, helping to determine the scope and focus of the study. Guide research process. Objectives provide a framework for research activities, ensuring the study stays on track and avoids unnecessary work. Ensure measurable outcomes. Objectives can and help to identify specific outcomes that can be made to evaluate the success of the research. Facilitate communication. Objectives clearly communicate the purpose and goal of the research to stakeholders and other researchers. So, that is the kind of importance of research that we are focusing on. Key features to effective research objectives is SMART, as what we have seen. Specific, which means objective should be clearly defined and avoid vague language. Measurable, objectives should be worded in a way that allows for the assessment of progress and success. Achievable, objectives should be realistic and attainable, giving the available resource and time. Relevant, objectives should align with the overall goals of the research and the identified problem statement. Time-bound, objectives should have a defined timeline, helping to ensure the research is completed within a reasonable time frame. Action-oriented, objectives should be used as action verbs that clearly describe what the researchers intend to do, which means that when we are following the SMART strategy, that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, action-oriented, then we are on the right footing. We are following the basic rules of writing an effective research objective. Because if the research objective is effective, then the rest of it will fall in line. Why can you or where can you find the problem in research? Alternatively, research problems can be identified by reviewing recent literature, reports, or database in your field of interest. Often, the section on recommendation for future studies, which comes at the end of any research paper, not all of them mention, but some of them mention, provided at the end of the journal article or doctoral dissertation suggest potential research problems. Identifying a clear research problem is crucial because it provides a focused direction for your research, allowing you to narrow down your scope, generate meaningful research questions, and ensure your study contributes new knowledge. A well-defined problem helps you understand the significance of your work effectively. Communicate your findings and ensure your research aligns with existing knowledge. So this is how, you try to look for problems. Where do you look for a good problem, research problem? This is how they are being mentioned here in point-wise to guide you or to show you a direction as to how to go about looking for a good research problem which is effective and which can culminate in good research. Why it is important to identify a research problem? Because unless and until we have a problem in hand, how do we plan our research? How do we make a research design? Just by identifying the topic, it is not enough. We have to have a problem statement, focus, and scope. A clear problem helps you avoid broad, unfocused research. It narrows down your investigation and allows you to dwell deeper into the specific aspects of the issue. Research questions and hypothesis. A clearly defined problem statement serves as the foundation for formulating specific research questions and hypotheses, which guide your data collection and analysis. Purpose and justification. A well-defined problem makes it easier to articulate the purpose and significance of your research, justifying why it is important to conduct the study. Effective literature review. Understanding the problem helps you identify relevant existing literature and synthesize it effectively to support your research. Now, this is another slide which is sourced from IdeaScale. Here, research objectives and their best practices are shown. Prioritize objective. Ensure relevance. Be specific and clear. Align with research questions and hypotheses. Consider the target audience. Use action verbs. Review and refine. Focus on measurable outcomes. Be open to adaptation. Be realistic and feasible. Document your objectives. Consider the scope of the study. So these are various parameters that you have to keep in mind when you are setting up your research objectives, and these are some of the best practices which help us to identify the same. Why it is important to identify a research problem? Because you have to then, based on your research problems identification, plan your methodology section. The problem statement helps to determine which methodologies are most appropriate for your study, ensuring that your research design aligns with your objectives. Data analysis and interpretation. A clear problem provides a framework for interpreting data and drawing meaningful conclusions, ensuring your findings address the core issue you have identified. Contribution to knowledge. By focusing on specific problems, you can contribute to the accumulation of evidence-based insights, solutions, and scientific progress. Communication and impact. A well-defined problem makes it easier to communicate your research findings to others, including academic peers, practitioners, and funding bodies. So, when you have a good research problem, there is nothing to worry about because you have taken into consideration how will the methodology section be, how will you analyze the data and interpret it, how is it going to contribute new knowledge to the scientific knowledge which is already existing, and how this is going to impact others through your research. Research methodology selection. Research methodology selection refers to the process of choosing the most appropriate methods, techniques, and research design to study a research problem and achieve the research objectives. It ensures that the research is systematic, reliable, and valid. And now we look into the factors which are important for selecting research methodology. First is nature of research problem. The type of research problem determines the methodology. For example, exploration research when the problem is not clearly defined. Descriptive research when the aim is to describe characteristic. Experimental research when the testing cause and effect relationship. So, depending on that, what is the nature of your research problem, you will choose either exploratory or descriptive or experimental. Then you look for research objectives. So, in the research objective section, the objectives help to guide and choose the methodology. If the objective is to measure effects, quantitative methods are to be used. If the objective is to understand the experience or perception, then qualitative methods will be preferred. Types of data required. A researcher must decide whether the study needs primary data, that is, survey, interviews, experiments, observations, or does it require secondary data, books, journals, reports, and database. So, depending on that, you will make a choice of the type of data that is to be dealt with in your research problem. Factors to consider when identifying a research problems. It should be relevant. If it is not relevant in today's time, such a research is useless. Therefore, relevance is a very important factor. The problem should be significant and have potential impact on the field of study or real world applications. Manageability. The scope of the problem should be realistic and feasible within the available resources, time, and expertise. Originality. The research should offer a new perspective, explore uncharted territory, or contribute to existing knowledge in a meaningful manner. Feasibility. The problem should be amicable and empirical investigation, and the researcher should have access to the necessary resource and data. So, these are very, very important points. You may think that why am I again and again emphasizing? Because these lectures are meant for training you mentally to be prepared for what are the processes that you need to follow while conducting or starting research. Sources of research problem. Of course, undoubtedly, literature review, where you identify the gap in existing research and contradictions between different studies. This could be one of the source of identifying a research problem. Practical experiences. Observing issues or problems in real world setting that could be investigated. Personal interest. Choosing a problem that aligns with the researcher's passion and expertise. Theories and models. Exploring the limitation of existing theories or developing new ones. Data analysis. Identifying trends or patterns in existing data that warrant further investigation. Implementing theories in research. Now, this is also very crucial. Implementing theories in research means using established concepts or framework to guide the research problem, design, data collection, and interpretation of the result. Theories help explain relationships between variables and provide a foundation for scientific investigation. Steps to implement these theories in research. One is identify a relevant theory. Choose a theory that is closely related to your research topic and objectives. The theory should help explain the phenomena you want to study. For example, in textile or dyeing research, theories related to chemical bonding, adsorption, or diffusion may explain dye fiber interaction. So, a very nice example has been given. You can't choose a theory of physics to explain a chemical reaction because here the chemical bonding plays a very different role. So, you have to look for chemical theories that or the chemical bonding theories that will explain why a dye and a fabric yarn are actually getting adsorbed to each other and what is the principle that is underlying. Understand the core concept of the theory. Study the main principal variables and assumptions of the theory. This will help to understand how the theory can be applied to your research. Example is variables involved, relationships between variables, condition under which the theory applies. So, in this, we try to understand that this is very, very important to have a core concept of that theory. What is it that you are aiming at? It cannot be a wide spectrum theory because it has to pinpoint. Third point, while implementing the theories in research, is develop a conceptual or a theoretical framework. Create a framework showing how the theory relates to your research variables. The framework usually includes independent variables, dependent variables, relationship between them. This framework guides the entire research process. The fourth one is formulate hypotheses based on the theory. Use the theory to develop testable hypotheses. For example, if the theory predicts a relationship between two variables, the hypothesis tests that relationship. For example, increasing concentration of an auxiliary agent improves the dye uptake on the silk. So basically, it is the auxiliary and silk interaction. So this is what relationship you are focusing on. And does it get affected by that when the auxiliary's concentration is increased? And that effectivity is being studied in this concept. Fifth point is design the research methodology. Choose methods that allow you to test the theoretical relationships. Example is experiments, it could be surveys, it could be observations, it could be analytical measurements. The research design should allow testing of the theoretical assumption. So if we are studying about dye uptake, definitely the UV visible spectrum of the dye solution is very important, is very relevant in the methodology because that only will show whether dye uptake has increased or whether it has not increased by taking the visible spectra of the dye. Collect and analyze data. Gather data related to the theoretical variables and analyze it using appropriate statistical or analytical methods. This step checks whether the theoretical predictions match the observed results. Then comes the seventh point. Interpret results in the context of the theory. compare your findings with the theory, possible outcomes. The theory is supported by the data. The theory is partially supported. The theory needs modification for further research. So this will be able to give you an idea, whatever theory you are postulating, whether your data is matching with that or not, whether it is implementing on those lines or not. Contribute to theory development. Research may confirm existing theories, extend them, or identify limitations or new perspective. If we have to say it in simple terms, we will say implementing theories in research means using theoretical ideas to guide the research question, methodology, and interpretation of the data or results. Now, what are the benefits of identifying a research problem effectively? Clear focus. A well-defined problem statement provides a clear focus in the research project and guides all subsequent steps. Efficient uses of resources. A focused problem statement helps researchers make efficient use of their time, resource, and expertise. Increased impact. Identify a significant problem allows researchers to make a meaningful contribution to their field and society. Enhance career opportunities. Conducting a research on a well-defined problem can lead to increased visibility, collaboration, and future opportunities. So, points to remember while selecting a research problems are checklist for a good research problem, focused and specific, researchable with available methods, relevant to your field and current knowledge, and addresses a real world or theoretical gap. Clear and concise. It has to be completely in alignment with what you have actually started as a plan and whether all these steps can be executed. So, to conclude this lecture, I will say that identifying a research problem is a foundational step in research process that shapes the direction and purpose of a study. It involves recognizing a gap in existing knowledge, formulating relevant and researchable questions, and ensuring the problem is significant, feasible, and aligned with the researcher's interest. A well-defined research problem is not only guides the development of objectives and methodology, but also ensures that the research contributes meaningfully to the field. Therefore, careful and systematic identification of research problem is essential for the success and impact of any scholarly investigation by the researcher. So with this, we have come to an end of this lecture. Thank you.